Hello friends, it's Willow Star here, formerly known as Carrie Vaca. Lots of changes happening these days. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share. These things help my videos get seen by more people, hopefully bringing hope and inspiration to people in late stage diagnosis with cancer, or at any point really. So I have some really exciting news. I am 5 years out from being diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. 5 years ago, this May 20th, I believe, I was told that I had stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that had traveled to my liver. My liver was inoperable, too many tumors. And, the oncologist told me that cancer would take my life. She told me that I should probably get on disability and start just living my life, having fun. A few months later, I transferred to a different hospital, different oncologist. I sat there as she was putting my treatment plan, that she was like, okay, Faslodex, that gives me so many months. Zoladex, that gives me so many months. Ibrance, an experiment, using it in an experimental way on me, that was going to give me an extra 4 months. So she circled in total 33 months is what her drugs were going to give me. From day one, I rejected every one of those assumptions on my life. And here I am 5 years later. I just had my scans on Monday and met with my oncologist yesterday. And I'm on my 3rd oncologist because I really needed to find the right fit for me. And I've got an amazing oncologist at UCSF. And, we talked for about a half an hour. And then she's like, oh, and obviously your scans are clear. And I was like, yes, I figured. And I love that she just knows that I'm okay too. So it felt really validating, really good, just to kind of really reflect on these past 5 years. And, the hard work is really paying off, and it's been an emotional healing, an emotional journey. Lots of, yes, diet and exercise and supplements and cannabis and Chinese herbs and, body work and acupuncture and yoga. But my journey has been one of healing my emotional body. And this is what I really contribute. My mindset is what I contribute. Out of all the things, the most important. I don't think any of those things would have worked without the positive mindset. So I just wanted to share, I've been sharing with her that I'm having some kind of like achy symptoms and things that are new to me. And I was talking to her about kind of the fact that people are usually on these drugs only for, 1-2 years because they die. So these drugs are not generally really, really long-term drugs. So I've been sharing, hey, is there a possibility of, weaning off some of them? And, of course, she's tentative and I'm tentative. I don't want to change anything that's been working so well. And we've been talking about this for more than a year. And this time she said to me, hey, I feel really confident and comfortable letting you go off of the Zoladex. It is a hormone blocker for my ovaries. And I would be going into menopause. I'm 51, almost 52 this year. I've been on these drugs for 5 years. And she's like, we just will start monitoring your estrogen every month and make sure it doesn't rise. And, but she, and then, worst case scenario, my estrogen goes up, go back on it. Great. She's willing to take, she says, I feel comfortable with that. She doesn't feel comfortable taking me off of the other 2 drugs. But, so what was interesting, this is where mindset comes in. What was interesting was leading up to this, she's always kind of we've always talked about going off of Zoladex. She felt was the most safe, but I'm like, well, I still have to come to San Francisco. Like if I'm traveling, I have to be here once a month to get both shots. So it doesn't matter if I have to get one or two. So when it was interesting, because I've always just been like kind of all or nothing. I'm like, I want off the drugs, or, what's the point if I still have to be here? So what was very interesting is when she said this yesterday, and I had the initial like, oh, you just mean the one drug, okay. But then I had a perspective change, and it hit me, well, that's one less drug in my body. I'm getting these 3 things in my body every month outside of my holistic healing. And that's one less than I had. So it's one less. It's the biggest needle. It's a 16 gauge needle that they put into my belly with a pellet every month. And I've got a high tolerance of pain, so it's fine. It hurts the nurses more than it hurts me. I told her I'm like, oh, I kind of feel bad because I always like cheer them on. I'm like, you're doing a great job. You just did it so smooth. And they always breathe a sigh of relief because they hate giving that shot. And I don't get it with ice or lidocaine. I'm like one of the only people that doesn't need that for it. So I kind of felt like a badass, which I kind of am. But it was pretty funny. So I had this shift and I was like, wow, actually one less drug in my body. Then that means there's only 2 and I can keep moving towards getting out of those completely. So I took it as a real win. It was great. She asked, it was really amazing. She asked me, she's like, I think I know your answer, but I'm curious, are you going to take the vaccine? And I was like, yeah, no, I don't feel like it's right for me. And she's like, yeah. She did not freak out. She did not push. She did not once say, I really would like you to consider it. Nothing. I felt so happy and relieved to hear that she wasn't going to push me or, and she let me know that she hasn't had any patients in her oncology that have had COVID. And she had 3 that had like tested positive, but then had 0 symptoms. So that felt really good, knowing that we are all at like a low, immunity being on these cancer drugs. So I said, well, what would happen if I did get COVID? And she said, oh, well, we would just keep you at home, monitor you, you would just rest, get your immunity up. And then we started laughing because she's like, yeah, I'm not worried about you, because there was a point a year ago or so that my numbers were really, really, really low, and they wouldn't let me take my Ibrance, and I didn't want to mess up my cycle. And I was like, I can get my numbers up. I can get them up. And she's like, you really can't. And I said, give me 1 day. And she said, I'll give you 2 days. Excuse me. She's like, I'm going to give you 2 days and then come back and get labs. And so I went back in and I doubled my numbers in 2 days. And she's like, what did you do? I've never seen that. So she was laughing. So she's like, you would just get your immunity up and you'd be fine. So yeah, it was a really positive kind of closure to this past 5 years, where I'm starting now on my next journey with this feeling of, yeah, I really can see an end in sight with these drugs, even though they would prefer me to be on them the rest of my life. I just don't see that. And as I'm coming up on the end of this 5-year, it just feels really like a massive milestone to me to finally to have lived 5 years when I was told, most likely 2.5 to 3 years. Nobody was saying 5 years, so this just feels really monumental. And I've been without tumors for at least 3.5 years. I feel better than ever, and I'm really just ready to start helping other people see how their minds are so powerful, how we can heal cancer. That cancer is not a death sentence. I have learned so much, and I am going to be making videos about all of the lessons that I've learned through this journey. I just finished writing a book about, it's called Tinder and Tarot. It's about my dating life after I received my stage 4 diagnosis and left my marriage. And so I don't talk much about my cancer, but it was really a huge part of my healing and learning about, my emotional needs and how they had never been met. So I'm really excited for the future. I'm so appreciative to each and every one of you who has been on this journey with me. And I just hope to continue to, educate and inspire and guide others going through this journey. And also all of you who want to prevent cancer, it's preventable. Less than 10% of cancer is genetic. That leaves 90% environmental, emotional, toxins, all these things. It can be prevented. So just wanted to share that amazing news. Super excited. Again, thank you for being with me on this journey. Stay tuned for many, many more videos. I'm really excited to really start documenting the past in depth, in depth in these videos. So thank you so much. Again, like, subscribe, share would be really helpful. And feel free to leave any comments for me. I love I'm a person, I like to hear and see words. It really helps support me and just let me know, all of you are out there getting love on me. Sending love to you. Be well. See you next time.